Are there threats we should be worried about that aren't on most people's minds right now?
Oh, that is a great question. I mean, the U.S. government is always a threat, and what I mean by that is the IRS freezing this gentleman's bank account, or the government for whatever reason saying, "Hey, I don't like the way you looked at me today. I'm going to screw you somehow." And I'm going to go off on a quick tangent here, but a lot of people say, "Hey, I'm going to put my money in the safe deposit box." Not really, because you don't have access to it 24/7.
Right.
Plus, you've always heard those stories of people getting their safe deposit box confiscated, or states claiming they were abandoned and now we can go in and take them. So I wouldn't do that. Again, the government way to screw you. Blackout. That is a big threat that people don't pay. I mean, I know we hear about it, but it's not on most people's mind. So, if most people knew how fragile the U.S. energy grid is, they wouldn't sleep at night.
I was wondering about it because for one of our series, we had I'd interviewed a PhD. He was in Texas and he was on their board or whatever for the power companies, and he said they were, I think, 15 minutes or less away from losing the grid for all of Texas for 3 months. What would have happened if that grid went down for 3 months?
Jeez. We know most people aren't prepared. I mean, it would be chaos beyond chaos. Now me, I'd be fat and happy with my food storage. I'd be going out and just spending my money and getting stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can tell you firsthand that our adversaries, Iran, China, Russia, they are trying to nuke this grid all the time. And thankfully, there's amazing intelligence officers out there stopping it. But what happens a lot of days is they're probing, meaning you hear a story like, "Hey, we hacked a Florida utility, right?
Right.
And they discovered it and all this and that, we patched it up." Well, that's called probing, meaning they hacked it, they left a trail so they could see how you're gonna patch it up. That way when they go to all the utilities in the country, they know what the patch is, they know how to do it. So we're probed all the time. And it's just like an economic collapse with the dollar. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Maybe I'll be long in debt, I don't know. But it's the grid and the dollar. It's gonna happen sometime, and you gotta be prepared for it all.
Yeah, and I guess what most people don't recognize is how serious that can get. I mean, I guess maybe you've got some reference points from things that have happened overseas, but if power goes out, how long is it before it's a serious problem? Like, where you're talking about maybe roving gangs or, real threats to your well-being?
It doesn't take long, 72 hours.
That's it?
Yeah, it's 3 days. I mean, it's just because most people think, okay, I've got enough batteries here, I'm gonna get through it, but after 3 days, they start to panic. And when panic sets in, they go find their friends, and that's when it becomes the mob mentality and all that. So most people are so underprepared, we're so spoiled. I mean, this current life we live in, we can, push a button on our phone and do everything. So we're not used to have to prepare and survive on our own. We're not resilient. So after 72 hours, it's going to be chaos. People are going to be freaking out. They're going to be looting. I mean, look at the looting we've had, and it wasn't any kind of, natural catastrophe.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm old enough that I was, when the Big Blackout happened in New York, I guess it was in the 70s, right? And I can remember, because I lived, across the river, across the Hudson River, but I can remember seeing the city go dark, and then I can remember, the looting and all, there was craziness, like almost incomprehensible how quickly it devolved into just complete chaos and madness, in just a short time when the lights go down, and the power goes away. And that was in the summer, so it wasn't like anybody was going to freeze to death or anything like that. I think that your words, your caution here is warranted because it can happen very unexpectedly. It's not like you get to see it coming.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're not going to know the majority of the time. I mean, I can tell you there have been, like you said, you talked to the gentleman in Texas who said we're 15 minutes away. Well, I know of instances where other countries are trying to bring down our power grid, and it was that close, and at the last minute we were able to save it.
Wow.
So those are things you're not going to know coming. I mean, that's why I prepare. It gives me peace of mind. I hope we don't have a blackout. I hope, the dollar doesn't collapse. But I've got the money spread around just in case, which, allows me to sleep at night.
Yeah, and I guess if you're thinking about investments, which, is a big part of what we're doing, saying, okay, number one, invest in your security. So this is like, people spend money on insurance policies for life insurance, et cetera.
Yes.
This is, storing money and except that, if you don't use it, it's not like the insurance companies where they keep your money. In this case, you don't use it, you still have the money. But I look at this kind of as a very important investment in an insurance policy. And then secondly, if somebody has enough wealth, having a place to go that's not by a population center, investing in real estate, it's because too often I think, in many of our interviews, it's a very, for lack of a better term, mercenary type of thing, saying, okay, invest in, either whether it's trailer parks or, single family homes that you rent, or, duplexes or fourplexes, whatever they might be. You collect rent, get cash flowing real estate, there's tax advantage, all those considerations that people have when they're trying to make money or invest and create wealth for themselves. Probably not a bad idea to invest in maybe some real estate that is a safe place for you and your family. And somehow maybe it's a good investment anyway, that you can make money on the investment, but it's also a place to go. And I'll tell you, I just acquired 43 acres in a very remote place. That's a driving distance from where I live, not a plane ride. With that very thing in mind. I think it's a good investment anyway. But more than a good investment as far as from a financial return standpoint, it's also saying peace of mind of a place to go should the things that you're talking about happen.
100% agree with you. So I do the same thing. I've got places within driving distance of my house, and great land. The kids like to go out there and play. But what we do is put a shipping container on there. So it looks like a shipping container on the outside, but inside, it looks like you're walking into a house. So a lot of people say to me, oh, Jason, I can't go afford a bug out location or whatever. Shipping containers are still pretty darn cheap. And if you're a handyman, go in and panel it yourself, put up the lights, do all that. If you're not, just hire somebody. But that's what I've done. And, it's wife approved because it doesn't look like a shipping container inside. And that's a simple place. It's basically a getaway cabin where you can still go and have fun, but also an emergency location for your family.
Yeah, I think shipping containers are like $4 or $5 grand, something like that.
They've gone up.
They've gone up.
If you want a 40-foot high cube, you want the high cube because it's over 9 feet. They're $8,500 these days. And then you can get the 20-footers for about $6,000, give or take.
Are there people that outfit them too?
Oh, yeah. They
really?
do the whole thing. I am actually not a handyman whatsoever. So I have a crew that'll go in and make everything nice for me, put in windows if you want windows, and, make it so you can hook up your generator so you got lights in there and all that stuff.